In this video, I wanted to go over a few topics commonly misunderstood. The three topics I wanted to go over are ransomware, cyber extortion, and cyber blackmail. And we'll focus on cyber blackmail and go over a few examples because there are a lot of scams today that are associated with cyber blackmail. So first off, most of you have heard of ransomware. Ransomware is where a criminal holds your data hostage and makes you pay a ransom. Most ransomware today involves some sort of encryption of your data. And in order to get the data unencrypted or get the data back, you have to pay a ransom, typically some sort of Bitcoin transaction. Cyber extortion is a little bit different than ransomware. With cyber extortion, the criminal is demanding payment or else something will happen. And the or else something happening means if you don't pay them, they will do a denial of service against your web server, take your systems offline, etc. Cyber blackmail is the other item I wanted to focus on. And cyber blackmail is basically blackmail, but it's using some sort of cyber technology or has a cyber component to it. So with cyber blackmail, the victim's psychology is played upon, and specifically fear and shame. So what happens is the criminal either has some sort of data that's incriminating, some sort of sensitive data about you, or they claim to have that about you. And they demand payment unless they demand payment, and if you don't pay them, then they will release this data to your friends, your family, your coworkers. This could be like illicit pictures. It could be that you had an affair with somebody, etc. So that is cyber blackmail. There is a reoccurring theme that we see a lot today with cyber blackmail. A lot of people think they're being blackmailed, and it might be, and they think it's legitimate, but it's actually a scam. And the scam is designed to get your money. So I'll go over a couple examples here. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to bring this over here. So this is a blog on our website. And this blog on our website has an example of an email that's used for cyber blackmail. So this is an email from an actual incident we responded to. And what is unique about this email, there's a couple things. One of them is it's a complete scam. The person doesn't actually have any incriminating information on you. But the other unique thing, which is what makes it very realistic and makes people fall for it, is the fact that it has your real password in the subject line and in the body. So as you can see in this email right here, we blanked out the real password, but this actually had someone's real password, and it had the real email address, obviously. And for this particular cyber blackmail example, the criminal claimed to have recorded this person, as you can see here, having some misadventures. They placed malware on the adult vids that they visited, and they recorded this person doing naughty things while they're watching, pornographic material, etc. And they also claimed that they had a keylogger on this person's system, that if they go to the cops down here, they'll be in trouble, etc., etc., etc. And they're blackmailing this person by saying, unless you pay, in this case, $2,900 or $2,900 to this Bitcoin address, the criminal is going to release all this bad stuff about you to all of your contacts because they have access to your computer, all of your contacts, all your coworkers, and all your friends. And a lot of people actually fall for this and make the payment, but this is really a scam. And the way to figure this out, or one way, is you can go to a website right here. It's called Have I Been Pwned? And you can put in an email address in Have I Been Pwned. So if you go to this site, pwned is just a misspelling of owned. It kind of drives me crazy, but apparently some hacker back in the day misspelled owned because they put the P in there because it's right next to the O and it's kind of stuck. But I think it's kind of silly. So if you put your email address in Have I Been Pwned, it will show you which breaches your email address has been associated with. And this is important because if your email address has been associated with a breach, and I'll put in a bogus email address here. I'll put in dude@dude.com, for instance. See if it comes up in the example. So we see dude@dude.com had a few breaches. One of them is fit right here. And it tells you what was stolen. In this case, the compromised data was the email address and passwords. So typically, a username is an email address and you have a password associated with it. So what happens for these cyber blackmail scams is the criminal gets access to this database, for instance, the 8-fit database. They get access to that database that has your email address and your password for that particular system or web application. And they get access to the entire database of the compromised data. They come up with this template, which is this email right here, this template. They send this templatized email and replace the email address and the password from the stolen database, and they send this to everybody in the database or a large set of the database. And the idea is most of us have some sort of skeleton in our closet. A lot of people are afraid that this might be legitimate, and the real password, the fact that it's a legitimate password, scares people. So what happens is a lot of people actually end up paying. And if you think about it from a business model perspective, if I'm an attacker or a criminal or even a business person, and I have access to, let's say, 100,000 email addresses and passwords from a breach, and if I send it to all 100,000 people, and I asked for $2,900. So let's just open a calculator here real quick. So if I send it to 100,000 people, and let's just say 1% times 0.01, times 0.01, open that email and fall for it, so that's 1,000 people. And if 1,000 people pay me $2,900, that's $2.9 million, all with a little bit of effort. So it's a pretty big gain at a 1% kind of fall for rate at 100,000 people. So not much effort, because you can easily templatize this, put it in a template, add the variables for the password and the email address, and send it to a lot of people. And with a small percentage, even if it's 0.5%, that's still $1.45 million. So it is very lucrative, which is the reason this occurs so often. It's very lucrative for attackers. And if they wanted to even increase the number of people falling for it, they could decrease this amount. $2,900 is quite a bit for most people, but if they made it $290, a lot of people might go ahead and pay that, because they feel like, $300 roughly it's worth being safe than sorry, sort of. The other reason a lot of people fall for this is they use the same password on multiple systems. So it is highly likely that the password that you're actually using on their computer or on their current applications is the same password that was stolen maybe a year ago in a breach. So it's important to use different passwords on all of your systems, and you really should be using a password manager such as 1Password or LastPass that generates a unique password for every website you have to log on to. Also, you should be using multi-factor or two-factor authentication. If you do receive an email like this, there's a couple things you can do. You can check the Have I Been Pwned site to see if that password is associated with a breach. You can also go to the IC3.gov, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is the FBI's site. You can go to this site and you can file a complaint here about that. But it's often better before you file a complaint to simply call the FBI. You can go to the FBI's website and look for your local office. For instance, if you're in Tampa, this is the local number. And the chances are, if you call them and explain the email you received and what you're looking at, like if it's this email, the chances are very high that they will know exactly what you're talking about, and they can confirm with you that this is a scam and don't fall for it. So it gives you some assurance that this is not legitimate. That, combined with looking at the Have I Been Pwned website, gives you some assurance that this password and this email, the password is compromised from a specific breach, and this email is a scam to try to blackmail you into giving up, $2,900. So those are a couple of techniques you can use for this. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have any questions, you can post it beneath the video.